Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, out now for PS4, PS3, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. This is the version of Diablo 3 that came out last year, just with the Reaper of Souls expansion added and the adventure mode and the Crusader plugged in. So let's jump right in. So we're going to be taking a look with my Barbarian character, though I have leveled a Crusader up. I will say this for the Crusader, it is very fun to play, but it is ridiculously overpowered. What took me 4 people in total to accomplish, I can do with the Crusader solo in about half the time. So it is ridiculously powerful. It may well get nerfed later on, but it's quite fun. I am playing this character in co-op with a few people, so we're not going to be taking a look with her, we're going to be taking a look with my Barbarian Magnus. And we're going to be taking a look at the first opening, about hour and a half of Reaper of Souls. So the adventure mode is basically the story mode without any of the story in it. So you just go through what are called rifts to hunt down big monsters and earn blood shards that can be exchanged for better gear. So it's basically just a bounty mode you can do over and over. It's actually, I have played it with a few people. It's quite fantastic. It's almost like raiding in World of Warcraft, and it offers a great amount of challenge. So we're going to be taking a look at Act 5, which is the Reaper of Souls expansion pack. We're going to be just starting this over. We're going to be taking a look at Expert. I will say this for the game, it's ridiculously easy on normal. I can't even recommend it. You play on normal. Go for hard. As you can see, you get extra experience, extra gold, and it's just a much better time all around. We're going to be taking a look at Expert. Expert is fine when you're alone, especially for characters a bit higher level. Master, I can't really recommend alone. It's quite insane. So we're going to take a look at Expert, and let's hop right in. So there are going to be quite a few spoilers, so if you are actually bothered by that, then turn away now. I can't imagine why you'd be, because the vanilla story is actually quite awful. So let's take a look at the inventory management first. The PS4 touchpad is quick mapped, so if you hit the right side it'll open up the skills, and if you hit the left side it'll open up the inventory itself. It's not wonderful, but it's nice for just swapping quickly. Now, the PS4 touchpad can be used to navigate the menus. It's actually quite awful. I can't recommend you really do it. It's actually a bit of a wasted feature. The vanilla works fine, just buttons. So, skills, yeah. You map each of the abilities to one of the 4 face buttons, and R1 and R2, and you have the 4 passive slots as always. Though I will say that there's one thing you should really do before starting the game. As every Diablo player knows, not every skill category is necessarily contain something wonderful. So head over to the options menu and turn on the elective mode. This allows you to assign any skill to any button. It makes the game much better to play, especially considering you can map all your more powerful abilities and just discard the weaker ones. So yeah, I'm playing Barbarian. There are quite a few skills have been just completely thrown out the window since I last played this, and I last played Diablo, let's say 4 months after launch. So it's a completely different game from when I played then. A lot of skills have vanished completely, replaced by new ones entirely, and there's actually a big vein of World of Warcraft running through this entire game right now. Some skills have been completely brought over from World of Warcraft, and there are quite a few skills that have gone from Diablo into World of Warcraft itself. The Paragon system is also here. Paragon allows you to basically, once you hit the level cap, you can keep going, earning more levels. To earn Paragon points, you can invest in one of these 4 categories to earn one of these attributes. Followers are also in the game, though Cormac is still the best because he's the only guy worth a damn because he can heal. And yeah, there's the quest bar. This is the management. This is actually quite finicky. I can't really recommend going through it. So, and the rune system is also here, which allows you to modify your ability to add more effects and tributes to each one. So there's a fair amount of variety going on in the character, your character itself. You can also transmogrify, I'll show you that a bit later on, which allows you to make any gear look like any other piece of gear. So you'll see this little fella running around here with me and Cormac. That's my treasure goblin. It's actually quite a nice ring, and it's a great example of how they've changed the loot system for more varied and interesting things. So this summons a treasure goblin, which picks up bad quality items, and then after he picks up 16, he drops a rare item with a big chance for a legendary. It's very fantastic, especially now, because considering if I'm not getting a legendary, I'm not really getting an upgrade right now. My character is fairly plateaued now because I hit the level cap of vanilla Diablo right now. So yeah, let's head into the combat. So my main character's ability is Berserk. This hits a single enemy, and the more times you hit him, the faster your attack speed becomes. It's fantastic if you're using a two-handed weapon. I then have Whirlwinds, which just makes me spin around, hit everything. I also modify my Whirlwind so it doesn't consume Fury, it actually generates it, which is quite fantastic. Also then have Seismic Slam, which I'll show you in a bit. Come on, Seismic Slam. There we go. Seismic Slam's big area effect attack just sends this rippling wave out. It's really nice in corridors. And let's see what else do I have. I have Revenge. You'll see there. Revenge is great. It does large amount of damage to a single enemy it builds, but you need to have stacks to use it. You build up stacks when enemies attack you, so it's great for when you're thinking of multiple things. And after all, this is Diablo. You'll constantly be fighting multiple enemies. You'll never really go one-on-one with anything in this game. I have my two abilities mapped to R1 and the Circle, which are my cooldowns. These are my big things. Like I reserve them all exclusively for boss creatures. I'll show you them later on. One of them sends me into a Berserk mode where I increase damage, increase Fury generation, increase attack speed. Makes me look like a goddamn Super Saiyan. And the other one, I summon 4 other barbarians to fight with me. The barbarian can actually do an insane amount of burst damage with those two abilities. I fought Diablo solo on Master with this character, and like I killed him within minutes. It's ridiculous. As I said, the game is really easy on normal. I can't recommend you play it on normal at all. So, I've played a fair few hours of the Reaper of Souls expansion. So if you're playing Diablo on PC and you haven't bought that yet, this can serve as a bit of a critique for that also if you're looking for it. The problem I have with Reaper of Souls in its first few opening hours at least is that the enemy variety is really quite a bit trash. There's nothing really special in the opening few hour or two, but like there's an area called Pandemonium. Once you reach that, the game skyrockets just in terms of the enemy variety and the enemy numbers on screen. The one thing the Ultimate Evil Edition adds, which I absolutely love, is that mobs sizes are literally, you have gigantic mobs and the number of the mobs increased exponentially, so you can easily be fighting. I have this wonderful screenshot where I'm fighting, what are they called? Mace Lords. These big things walking around with 4 arms, hammers on them, and this particular one was an illusionist creature, so it makes copies of itself. So it's this huge thing that covers almost a quarter of the screen with 4 hammers for arms, and there's about 8 of them on the screen. The screen is just littered with them. It's ridiculous. So the opening hours, there's not a lot of enemy variety, but it's also due to the fact that I was playing it on a lower difficulty. The more you increase the difficulty, the more variety there's going to be in the enemies, I've noticed. So if you're looking for those rare mobs that have waller skills or stuff like that, we may see a few of them later on. Definitely up the difficulty. I just can't stress enough that you should up the difficulty in this game. It just makes it so much better. There's also the Nemesis system. It's very unlikely I'll actually run into a Nemesis, so I'll just talk about that now. The Nemesis system allows, basically when you die, the creature that killed you becomes a Nemesis, and then invades the worlds of your friends, and once they kill him, they get a rare item, and they also get a package sent to you which contains a rare item. So Deranged over here actually did manage to kill my Nemesis, and sent me this wonderful axe Doomlock, which is quite fantastic, especially considering my character can be quite brutal at times. The plus 1057 life per kill is just fantastic, and the lightning damage is also great. I will change this though, we'll see that later on. Ooh, Mystic. So yeah. So let's talk about the story. Everyone I think has concluded that the vanilla Diablo 3 story is a bit trash as of now. It's not well written, it's quite boring, it scales way too quickly, and Leah is one of the most annoying characters to be in a game in a long time. Reaper of Souls is actually, it's quite fantastic. The main villain, Malthael, he's actually quite fascinating. His motivations are makes him very interesting, and he's really well written and voice acted. Diablo has also had this weird problem where its best stories are never actually in the games. If you want to read a fantastic Diablo story, go read a book called The Storm of Light. It's basically the Avengers set in the Diablo universe. It is a great book. It is just fantastic. It's why people love this universe. Diablo 3 is actually the worst Diablo story I think that there is right now. So, and Reaper of Souls goes some way to fixing that, but still a bit shit, to be honest. It gets good later on here, but those opening hours are if you're looking for a good story, this is not the avenue to go down. So, yeah, Malthael is actually quite fascinating. Basically what happens at the end of Diablo, he goes missing, and he hunts for he goes and hunts the Black Soulstone, which he used to kill Diablo and all the other primeval with. And he's using that for his own nefarious purposes, which I won't spoil here.
Not enough fury.
Though, so loot drop doesn't drop as regularly as it did in vanilla in Diablo at first. So you'll see I just acquired Nephilim Glory. So when you reach about, I think, 10 kills, now they'll drop this big golden orb. Once you pick up that orb, you will gain double damage. It's one of a few new things I've added to the console version. Also, if you destroy the various items littering around, if you destroy 10 of those, you'll get increased movement speed, stuff like that. It's very strange actually, but it works quite well. There's motivation for it. Also, one thing I should have actually showed you before is that the right thumbstick doesn't really do anything. There's nothing really to map it to, so they mapped it to a dodge button. So each character has this little dodge. Not a game changer, but it's still nice, especially with area of effect attacks. You can dodge them fairly effectively with that now. Alright, so we're gonna be fighting quite a large mob here. So I am gonna be using my 2 cooldown abilities, so you get to see that. So here, we can rage and we summon the other barbarians, and you'll just see it's insane how much damage you can just burst now with the barbarian class. I remember playing barbarian when Diablo 3 came out, and you couldn't do anything nearly as you do now. So also now, when you pick up gear, you can just hit up on the D-pad, and you can immediately choose to equip junk or drop it. They give you a small stats readout there to quickly just judge if you want to keep or scrap that piece of gear. If you junk it, you can then sell to a vendor with just a simple tap of the button. I'm just gonna skip this, so I don't want to spoil the story for anyone, because this is quite frankly the best part of the Diablo story again, so not gonna go any lengths without spoiling that. So let's talk about the co-op. The split-screen co-op works well, with the exception that there's this really annoying thing that it does. If you're playing multiple people on the same console, everyone needs to be at the same screen at all times. It doesn't split the screen in any way, so it's quite annoying. This is not in the online co-op. Everyone can be at their same. Hell, one guy can go to town, the rest can just stick on and keep fighting, so that works very well. The best thing about the co-op right now is actually the Vita version. I've played this co-op with a guy on Vita, and what the game does is it streams one part of the game entirely to the Vita, so the Vita acts as a second screen entirely. So one guy can keep playing on the console, his screen is full and uninterrupted, while another guy plays on Vita, and it acts like a second screen entirely. It acts like a whole nother console, so you don't have to share screen space at all. It works fantastically well, and it actually looks quite great on the Vita. That LED screen really does continue to impress. So how does the game look actually on PS4? Let's talk about that a bit. It looks fairly great. It runs at solid 1080p, constant 60 frames seconds frame rate. The texture quality is good from here, but you'll see if we zoom out on this character and just look at his back, you'll see it can get quite gnarly. But when playing the game, you don't notice it since you're pulled back quite a bit. It looks fantastic, I'll be honest. You level up fairly quickly. This is the thing I absolutely love about the game, is its central reward loop. So you can play the Diablo now for about 20 minutes and constantly feel like you're doing something. You're either gaining new gear, just leveling up, getting power going. There's always something to do. It actually makes this game a perfect podcast game. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts with this, just playing this in the background. It's absolutely fantastic. You always feel like something's getting done. So the standard professions are still here. You still have the blacksmith. Crafting has been changed. Crafting is much easier to do now. The requirements really haven't stripped out for it, so it's much easier to get high quality items. I've been actually looking to buy this piece for a while now. So, actually, do I have this? Let's create one of these. See what we get. So yeah, you earn the materials. You'll see there on the left, the required materials, by scrapping existing items you get. So yeah, this is not actually wonderful. I'm just going to salvage this again and get some items back. So the rarity works like this. You get normal items, which are just trash. You can just throw those away. My treasure goblin picks them up for me now. That's great. I don't have to worry about those. Then you get the yellow items, which are rares. These are your these are, but you'll be equipping fairly often. They have they're magical items. They give you increased stats, sometimes do rare effects, rare damage, and stuff like that. And then you get set items, which get a few of these, put them together, you get a special bonus, and then you get legendaries, which are just the best tier you can get. You see, this is one problem I've had. I think it's a bit unique to me, is that I've put one of my biggest spells on the back button, so I accidentally summon my barbarians quite often. Then there's also the gem system is still here. You pick up gems from creatures. You can talk to Covet Shen. Covet Shen here to fuse lower tier diamond. Lower tier gems into higher tier gems. It doesn't cost quite as much, and the rewards you get are much better. Though I don't really have anything right now. I'm not socketing gear right now because I'm still leveling up my character, but once I hit level 70 I will. So this is the new profession. She's not here right now. She only gets in, you only meet her later on in the act. We won't get to that point. I'm not so sure we will actually get to that point, so I'm just going to show you, but I can still show you how this works. So this is the Enchantress. She can change transmogrify your gear. So Doomlock, for instance, if I want to change Doomlock, I can change the fact that it has a socket into something else. So let's see. And this is random. You can actually choose this. So you'll see here's a whole range of things I can change about it. So let's say I want to change the fact that it has a socket. So rolls an entirely new property for it. So I can either get +3 damage or another socket. So we're going to take the damage, which is, yeah, it's a lot better than having a socket. I'm not really going to socket Doomlock right now. You can also transmogrify. You can make this piece of gear look like any other piece of gear you've gained. So I can make this look like any other axe. Legendary schematics are always added. There's a few presets that look fantastic. So you can see here all legendary weapons I've gained are immediately added to this. The rest you actually gain as you level up. And I'm not sure if there's a way to actually put any piece of gear, but most pieces of gear I've picked up are here. There's also an armor set, which I'm a huge fan of this game, so it was completely awesome for me to see this here. There's a unique armor set to the PlayStation versions that puts a Shadow of the Colossus armor in. It's quite expensive to transmogrify this, and considering I'm constantly changing gear right now, I'm not gonna go Shadow of the Colossus all the time, but trust me, it looks awesome. I'm a massive fan of that game, so it's quite great to see. There's also a Nephilim Rift. I talked about the rifts earlier. Those are what you enter the adventure mode of The Last of Us. I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard it's quite cool, and you get some fantastic gear in there. So let's continue to Rush March here. We'll hit a few more things there. I'll most likely end the video at one of the major bosses. I'm going to check here. This seller spawned an event. So you will actually encounter these random events as you go through the game. They can be anything from freeing a few townsfolk to random bosses just spawning in. The fast travel system is still in the game, as are these little lore pickups, but I have 100% of all the lore pickups here, so we won't actually get anything. One thing I will say, what I really like about the treasure goblin is it really does encourage you to keep searching those small rubbish crates that you don't necessarily get good items in. It makes them useful again, because I think Blizzard knows, like, you just stop flat out ignoring them after a while.
Not enough fury.
So Diablo 3 is actually quite fantastic now. I wasn't very impressed with this game at launch. It didn't feel like anything. I think it was severely crippled actually by the auction house, but I have to have this Blizzard. It took stones to fix this game. It took stones to admit they were wrong. Just Legendary, like, just got to take a look at that now. And I mean, they fixed it. They went all out. They fixed this game. They made it something. It's not as good as Diablo 2, though I'm purely saying that out of nostalgia, saying nothing will ever be as good as Diablo 2 that Blizzard makes again, but damn if it can stand alongside it. I'm enjoying this so much, and the co-op is just, it's a ridiculous amount of fun. So I'll let my barbarians mop up there. I'm just, okay guys, you following me? Fine. So here's the legendary belt we just got. So legendaries need to be identified before you can equip them. 190 strength, vitality, attack speed, and armor. I am not using cleave right now, so this is actually much better. I'm gonna equip this belts, bracers, rings, and neck pieces don't show up in your character, so that's still a bit strange to me. But yeah, you can't really see rings, but be ridiculous on these barbarian hands. But yeah, so transmogrify. You can only transmogrify these things. I'm stupid rambling now. One thing I've also noticed they've added to the game, which I really do like, is there's a lot more party chat between you and characters in your that are following you. So the Cormac, for instance, they've really changed him since the last I played. He's a lot more talkative. He's a lot more to say, and a lot of it is fairly insightful. It's actually some of it's actually quite funny. Cormac himself is one of the most socially awkward characters I've encountered in a long time. So you'll see I just picked up common debris. You'll mostly get, that's a crafting material, you'll mostly get those from this man. You'll see my treasure goblin just picked up that rubbish there. Hopefully we can get this little bastard to spawn something before the video is over. So like I was saying, you will get most of your crafting materials from salvaging items, but a few enemies do drop them. But it seems like you can only get the, what's it called? Let me just check quickly. Yeah, Fiery Brimstone, it looks like you can only get this from dismantling legendary weapons. These little things here are transmog recipes or weapon recipes they drop. This one you get from starting the game. But most of these drop from legendary bosses or so, but I also have a lot of these. This part of the inventory is actually, I'm not a fan of it, the gems and everything. This is quite finicky. There's dyes are still in the game, so you can color the gear to look any color you want it. Also, you can make it vanish entirely, so if I wanted to have that headdress to vanish, for instance, I just put on the vanishing dye. I don't know why I do that though, because it looks awesome. So, we have a random event there, we'll pop in there, and most likely end the video. I will be doing a separate video on the rifts once I unlock them. I will be trying to grind it through the remainder of Reaper of Souls tonight. Tonight is party night, so we'll get that done, I promise. Also, I will attempt to show off the rifts, and I will attempt to do that with a few other people joining the video, so prepare to hear the screams of a few friends of mine. I will say this, the most impressive thing right now, I played a lot of Diablo when it first came out on consoles, I played a lot of it on the PS3, and it's actually just amazing how much better this holds up once there are a lot of mobs start swarming the screen. I mean, you damn well hope so. You paid so much damn money for these new consoles. They should be able to perform, and this is one of the better performing games I've played on the console thus far. So, the long-term support for this game has me a bit worried. Blizzard have made their intentions clear. They want to keep this updated to the PC version. They want to just mirror it. They want to have it perfectly synced. But I don't know how true that is right now, because there's already a big update out for the PC version you may have seen that adds seasons and new rifts. And there's nowhere whether that's coming to consoles or not. But I'll give it a few weeks. Blizzard's fairly good when they promise stuff like that. The netcode is very good, actually, now that I think about it. The netcode, there's very little lag between people. We have a very good host up in Italy with a ridiculous internet line, so it may be down to that. I can't really speak to how this performs on lower tier lines, so just be warned, you may have a few issues if your internet isn't fantastic, though I can't really speak to that right now. So you'll see, these are the rare enemies. These usually comes in mobs of 3 and 4, and they have unique effects, like these Orbers enchanted and knockback, so yeah, knock you back if they hit you, and they also summon these small little beams that circle you. Those have been the bane of my existence for some time now in this game, because I always manage to stand right in the center of one of them, and they do quite large amounts of damage. Also, Orbers that summon these little shock balls that float around. Enchanted means that they do a lot more magic damage and knockback. These aren't the worst I've seen. The game can spit some fairly ridiculous combinations at you later on, but that's actually quite fine. We gained this. Let's take a look at this. This is actually a great weapon, but I'm gonna send this to a different character because it's not for my barbarian. Though it does actually add 300. You know what? Let's run with this for a while. Let's see where this takes us. The skill I'm using, what is it called? Oh, sorry. Call of the Ancients. That summons the multiple barbarians is actually by far my favorite skill in the game thus far. I mean, the amount of damage you can do, both to a single target and just crowd control in general, that skill is utterly fantastic. The passives for the barbarian are, like, they're fine. There's nothing here quite amazing here, though I did just earn this. This will most likely go into the level 70 slot once I reach it. Like, my character relies fairly heavy on Fury usage, so this is great, especially for initiation.
Still recharging.
This is all Justinian's fault. Some king he is.
One thing that's fairly bothering me with Reaper of Souls up to now is that they don't really make it clear what some of these enemy archetypes do. Like this Exorcist, for instance, they don't really make it clear in his character description what he does. Reaper doesn't really tell me anything. So yeah, folks, this is Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition. It's out now. It's $60 on Xbox One and PS4. Though the strange thing is, if you buy it on Xbox 360 or PS4, it's actually $40, where you can just get it on PC, which is still by far the best version of it. Though if you're aiming to play it on consoles, this is definitely the way to go. So yeah, it's been Reaper of Souls, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I haven't been active that much on the channel recently. It's just been quite hectic. I will have a video on Transistor on the channel next week, so stick around for that. If you like this video, please subscribe. Also, if you want to support more content like this on the homepage, do check out our Patreon in the link below. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Sen, and have a good night.